where we delve into meaningful dialogues with leaders, organisations, and members of the community, aiming to address the multifaceted impacts of grief and loss. Today, Griefline's Chief Operating Officer Kate Cahill is having a courageous conversation with Imogen Carn, co-founder of the Good Mourning podcast. Imogen lost her mother Vanessa to suicide 9 months after becoming a first-time mother. This unexpected tragedy during a time that should have been blissful brought months of complicated grief. Celebration days such as Mother's Day bring a range of deep emotions for many people, and navigating these days can be challenging. Imogen has lived grief experience, and with great courage, she is going to share her insight today.
Hi, Imogen. Welcome to Courageous Conversations.
Hi, Kate. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Yeah, excellent. Mother's Day is no doubt a bittersweet time for you, celebrating your life as a mother, but grieving your mother, Vanessa. So how will you approach Mother's Day this year?
You're right. It is going to be quite a bittersweet time. I unfortunately never got to celebrate Mother's Day with my mum, with me becoming a mum and my daughter. So my daughter was only 9 months old when she died. And I feel like that was a big thing for me when it first happened. I knew that Mother's Day was approaching, and I had always looked forward to this day to celebrate together. But we never got that opportunity. So I think what I've found over the years is that you never really know how grief is going to rear its head. So I think I'm just going to be approaching the day by being very gentle with myself and lowering those expectations.
Yeah, that sounds, hard, like sensible and, being kind.
Yeah.
Listening to you and Sally on your podcast, Good Mourning, we know that you find the work that you do very therapeutic as you've navigated your own grief experience. Can you describe how having the opportunity to have conversations and connection has helped support you in your grief experience?
Researchers Kenneth Doker and Terry Martin, who identify different grieving styles. So there's the intuitive griever, which is your more emotional person who processes by talking about things and really feeling their emotions. And there is the instrumental griever, who are your more practical grievers. So I'm very much an instrumental griever. So I process everything by talking, and I've found the whole process of starting a podcast, talking about grief, so therapeutic for me personally, because it's helped me kind of unpack my own emotions and everything that's been going on for me, and also getting to speak to incredible world-leading experts on grief, loss, and trauma has just been incredible, because I've learned so much, and I don't think I would have done that if I hadn't done this work that we're doing. And I also think there's so much power in community and connection, because grief can be incredibly isolating and lonely. And I just remember when I first met Sal, so it was about 4 months into my loss, and I felt like I was the only person that was going through what I was going through. So being able to meet someone going through the same thing, we used to compare notes and be like, are you feeling exhausted? Are you feeling crazy? You got headaches and all these crazy symptoms that can come with grief. It was so reassuring, having that connection with someone who understood what I was going through. And then I think going on to create Good Mourning, it was just like opening a door to thousands of other people who are all feeling the same way. And that sense of community and belonging when you're in deep grief, I think, is so important. And it's been an incredible gift to be able to, create that space for others too.
Yeah. We're very appreciative of that work too, and having that connection with you. Although your daughter was just a baby when she lost her grandma, she would also be missing the presence of your mother. So how will you support your daughter with this and ensure that your mum is remembered by her?
I think that's been one of the hardest parts about my grief, is not having my mum around to watch my daughter grow up. I feel like I'm grieving for my daughter for what she's missing out on with my mum, and I feel like I'm grieving for my mum for what she's missing out on with my daughter, and for myself on all those, milestones that we never got to celebrate together. It's definitely been the hardest part, but although my daughter was 9 months old when my mum died, she talks about her all the time, which I think has taken me by surprise a bit. Like, I never expected that, for her to remember her, or she just talks about her all the time and brings her up. Like, some days she was coming home from daycare with drawings of her and grandma together in a house. And
I love hearing that.
Yeah, it was pretty special. You know, it's heartbreaking, but the fact that she's keeping her memory alive, I think is really healing for me.
Yeah.
I also make a lot of effort to include mum in everyday conversations.
Mm.
But I feel like kids can be so blunt, which is hilarious sometimes. So, for example, it was recently my mum's birthday, and we are having a lunch to celebrate her with like all of her closest friends and family next weekend. And I
Yeah.
was telling my daughter, who's 4 now, turning 5, I was like, oh, we got grandma's birthday party next weekend. We're going to go see everyone there. And she just looked at me and she went, my grandma's dead. And I went, well, yes, you're right. She is dead, but we can
Yeah.
still celebrate her and remember her. And then she just completely changed the subject. So,
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was so blunt, but brilliant at the same time. And, you
Okay.
know, I think we don't give kids enough credit. And I think we try and sugarcoat things or say all the euphemisms. But I think, yeah, we need to be clear and use concrete words when we are talking about death with kids.
Yeah.
And she very much still has a connection with my mum. There's another funny story if you don't mind me sharing.
Yeah, I'd
But
love to.
we always include her in, you know, if I see a butterfly, I'll be like, there's grandma of a rainbow, there's grandma, as another way to keep her alive. And my daughter, she was probably about 3 at the time. We'd just gotten out of the bath. I was getting her ready for bed and in her pajamas, and there was a piece of sock lint on the bed. And she just went, oh, it's grandma. And lost it. And it was literally a piece of like black sock lint. And I didn't have the heart to tell her. I went, yeah, it's grandma coming to see you. It's so sweet. She's always around you. So that one was been very funny, but I can't imagine my mum would be too happy she's ended up being a piece of sock lint. But I just love that, you know, she's just keeping her alive with these funny little moments. Although they are heartbreaking sometimes, I do find the humor in them, which also helps.
Yeah, totally. Do you have any tips for those who are also grieving around this Mother's Day? And if there's any particular acts of self-care that you might encourage?
My number one hot tip would be to avoid social media around
Mm.
Mother's Day. It can be so triggering seeing everyone's happy Mother's Day posts and lunches and get-togethers. So yeah, I'm really kind to myself and silence those posts and just don't go on Instagram on Mother's Day, because I have found in the past I could go down a bit of a rabbit hole with it and just start comparing and really feeling the loss rather than being present in my own day and with my own child. So yeah, switch off social media is a good one. And also set boundaries for yourself. So it's okay to say no to activities or events that you don't feel up to attending on the day as well. Prioritize your own well-being, which we can be really hard. You know, we're not very good at prioritizing ourselves when we're grieving. So boundaries is a big one. It's okay to say no and put yourself first. Also just honor your feelings. So however you're feeling, just acknowledging that and trying not to judge yourself for whatever it is. I'm feeling really exhausted in the lead up to this Mother's Day.
Mm.
So I've just had my mum's birthday too, like I mentioned. And normally I think I would feel quite bad about, you know, not being as productive as normal or not being able to, you know, show up as normally as I could. But yeah, just acknowledging that grief is hard no matter how long it's been, and around these milestone days it can, you know, pop its head and show up in ways that you don't expect. But yeah, just to allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you're feeling, give yourself some space to process the emotions that are coming up for you, whether it is sadness or anger, whatever it is. And I would also suggest, if you feel up for it, totally fine if you don't, but creating meaningful rituals as well. So it could be something small to honor your mum, could be lighting a candle, could be, you know, eating their favorite meal, whatever it is. I just think like setting aside some time to connect with your person who you're grieving around Mother's Day is important to do.
Oh, thank you for sharing those. I think they will be really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
And just want to really thank you for being part of this courageous conversation today, Imogen. Thanks.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been my pleasure.